Okay, so I'm starting off by priming my lids in order to get them nice and ready for eyeshadows. Here I'm using my Benefit Stay Don't Stray primer in the shade Medium Deep, and I'm simply going to be applying that onto the lids and blending everything out using my clean finger. Next, I'm going to be taking my NARS pressed powder. This one here is in the shade Mountain, and I'm simply going to be applying some of that onto the entire lid section. So from lash line all the way up to the brow bone using a large shading brush. This is just going to set my primer nice and in place, and it's also going to give me a really nice and smooth canvas to work with so that when I apply additional eyeshadows, they're really easy to blend. For this look, I'm using the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm starting off with the shade Burnt Orange. Simply grabbing that with my E40 Sigma brush, this is a large tapered blending brush, and applying it onto the crease with circular and windshield wiping motions. So just combining those two motions together, building the color intensity up, and I'm also going to be dragging this color a little bit above the crease because this is going to work as my transition shade. It is going to be a really nice warm color. Next, I'm grabbing the shade Real Gar from the palette with the exact same blending brush and just applying that in the exact same area as I did the previous step. But I am keeping this one a little bit lower, so I'm not applying it as high. I'm going to go just a little tiny bit lower since I don't want the previous eyeshadow to get lost in this look. This one is a little bit more intense. This shade is a little bit more of an intense orange than the first one was, so I want that nice gradient. That's why I don't want to cover the previous eyeshadow. So just building the color intensity up to my liking with this eyeshadow by using windshield and circular motions. Next from the palette, I'm grabbing the shade Cypress Umber and applying that onto the entire mobile lid area using my small shadow brush. This is the E55 from Sigma. So just patting that shadow onto the entire mobile lid area before moving on and blending in between both shades. So blending in between the eyeshadow that I applied onto the lid and the previous shadows that I had applied onto the crease, just to make sure that there aren't any harsh lines in between both of those eyeshadows, and that it all looks nice and even and seamless. And then just repeating these steps a couple of times in order to really get a nice intense color payoff on the lid and for everything to be nice and blended in between. For mascara today, I'm taking my Beauty for Real mascara, which is my current favorite, and I'm applying a couple of really good coats onto the lashes in order to really accentuate them since I'm not going to be wearing any false lashes. I'm not wearing any kind of a wing line. This is going to be the main focal point along with the eyeshadows. Moving on to the face, I'm going to start off by using my Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer, just taking a small pea-sized amount of that and priming the entire face, including the under eye area. And then of course color correcting the under eye area. Here I'm taking my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector and just placing some of that under the eye using my clean ring finger. For foundation, I wanted to apply something full coverage, and so I decided to grab my Urban Decay All Nighter foundation. This one is in the shade 5.0, and applying that using my damp beauty blender. And then, of course, grabbing my Tarte Shape Tape in order to conceal those dark circles completely. So this one is in the shade Medium. I simply apply a small, kind of small, layer of that underneath the eye area and blend it out using my damp beauty blender. And of course, setting everything in place under the eye using my RCMA No Color Loose powder, just taking some of that with my damp beauty blender and patting it onto the entire under eye area. Next comes my brows, and in order to shape them and fill them in, I am taking my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Ebony. Now, I usually use dark brown for my brows, but I don't know if it was my mistake or Sephora's mistake, but they sent me this shade, and I kind of like it a lot better than the dark brown that I was using previously. So, taking that, shaping them in, filling them in, making them nice and dark so that they completely help frame my face. For the waterline, I'm going to be applying some of this Beauty for Real eyeliner. This one is in the shade Whiskey, which is a really deep, rich brown. I wanted to do this shade as opposed to like a black because I just wanted it to be nice and smoky underneath the eye area, but I didn't want it to be too intense since the lid is, you know, nice and dark but not too intense. So I figured that this was a good compromise. So just taking some of this, completely lining the waterline area before going back into the Modern Renaissance palette one more time with my pencil brush and grabbing the shade Burnt Orange once again in order to blend everything out on the lower lash line. And then of course taking my mascara once again and applying just a light layer onto the lower lashes. Next, I'm taking my Smashbox contour palette, first grabbing the bronze shade and applying that onto the hollows of my cheeks, but swirling the brush upward so that the bronzer not only is on the hollows of my cheeks, but it also warms up the face. And then I'm going back in, grabbing the actual contour shade from the palette and applying that onto the hollows, but only the back side of the hollows of the cheeks, if that makes sense. So right by the ear in order to, you know, give me that nice structured cheekbone that we all want. Next comes blush, and for me that means Amaretto from the Becca and Jaclyn Hill collaboration palette, the face palette. I hate that I love this shade so much because it is in a limited edition palette that is no longer available, but I just can't seem to find any other shade like it. This literally goes with anything that I put on my eyes, anything that I put on my lips. It goes with so many different looks that I don't even have to question it. I just know automatically what blush I'm going to use and I'm ready to go. So I'm sorry that I'm including it in this. I promise that I will try to find an alternative just in case you're into this blush as well. Taking my Laura Mercier Baked Powder in Highlight, I'm going to be placing that onto the tops of my cheeks, onto the bridge of my nose, Cupid's bow area, and also my chin, just to give me an overall nice dewy glow. And I'm finishing off this look with my Everlasting Liquid Lipstick from Kat Von D Beauty. This one is in the shade Lolita 2. I absolutely love this shade. Could definitely wear it every single day. And that completes the look. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video tutorial. As always, take care and I will see you all in my next video.